back to Fantasy Turf War, the show where 64 teams go head-to-head to see who's the ultimate champion. I'm, of course, Commissioner Cory, and we're back on this lovely Wednesday. I'm on the road, but have some interviews to release, and this one is... it's a tough one. Grab a box of tissues, you're going to need it. Pastor Jacques, and I apologize if I pronounce your name wrong. A wonderful mission over at the Wholehearted Foundation, and absolutely beautiful story. And I was taken back by how well spoken he is, and how heartwarming his message is, and what he's trying to do, and what his family has had to go through. And so I can't wait for you guys to watch this one. It is definitely up there on my list of interviews that are some of my favorites. And it just makes you feel all the feels. So, like I said, grab a box of tissues and enjoy this interview. Good morning, Jacques. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay, man. In the middle of the heat. Just got back from Las Vegas. Spent a week there. One of my daughters was she plays club volleyball, and she was at nationals. It was 120 degrees, man. So I came back to 100 degrees here and felt cool. It was pretty nice.
Yeah, having lived in Vegas for 6.5 years, they say it's a dry heat. It's still hot. It's always hot. But yeah, that's awesome. Vegas is a good time for all. And then did she happen to win, or?
So I mean, they played decent volleyball. It's high end talent. I mean, it's the best teams in the country, and it's. I mean, it's her 16th year, so they've got D1 coaches that they're trying to recruit all these kids that surround the court. So they're playing under the pressure to win, under the pressure of playing in front of their parents and coaches, and in front of all these coaches, where every mistake they just feel the weight of the world. Because is that going to be the mistake that makes a coach walk away? So, right. But at the same time, man, learning to play under pressure, live under pressure. It's learn it while you're young, and it'll pay dividends later on. So.
Very cool. Yep. Very cool. Well, hopefully she did well, and if not, continued success. I'm sure she'll get picked up. But we wanted to spend some time today to talk about you and your background. And first, needed to say welcome to Fantasy Turf War and welcome to the league, sir.
Excited to be in it. It's a different league completely from anything I've ever done, and 64 teams, and the hype going into this that you guys have built into it is pretty awesome. So excited to see what transpires.
Very cool. Yeah, we're glad to have you. And I think I say it just about every interview. It's shaping up to be something pretty cool, but I'm glad you could be part of it. You were, excuse me, you were a referral from another team. And he's like, I know the perfect guy who's going to love to do this. I'm like, you got to get a hold of him. I was like, okay. Let's see. He's like, so yeah, I'm glad you were on board, and glad you're part of the league, and hopefully you pull out some wins against him, just as a friendly competition thing. But wanted to spend some time today getting to learn about your background with the Wholehearted Foundation, of which you're the co-founder. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about what that mission is and what you guys are working on, and how that all got started.
Yeah, so Wholehearted Foundation, we're a nonprofit organization. We partner with Children's National Medical Center in D.C., and our whole goal is to be just an extension of God's love to families whose lives have been thrust into turmoil from an unexpected illness or a surgery that they maybe discovered in utero their child was going to need. And some of these families are living in the hospital for months, even years at a time, and they're taking time off of work, and they're trying to balance one parent at the hospital, one parent home with the kids, and making all that work, and their finances are falling apart, and emotionally and relationally and spiritually, the challenges just keep coming. And so that's the goal, is to resource these families so we can bring hope into their lives. But it all started because 10 years ago, one of my daughters was having a heart transplant at Children's National Medical Center. Lily was in the middle of what was north of a 20-hour surgery, and we're sitting in the CICU waiting room, just kind of praying and just holding on and hoping in the Lord that things go okay. And while we're in the waiting room, a family rushes in There's a mom who's in tears and she's wailing, and she's got an 8-year-old boy that coded, I think, at school, and they brought the boy in, and they were doing emergency surgery, and she's got friends and family, and they're all crying. So I walk over and I just tell them, "Hey, I'm a pastor. I love to pray. What can I be praying for?" And she tells me about her boy and the whole story. So we surround them and begin to pray for them right there in the CICU waiting room. And while I'm in there, there's a guy off in the corner named Ryan Capel, and his son Caleb had coded, and were doing emergency surgery on Caleb, his, I think, a 2-year-old boy at the time. And so he loves the Lord. He came over, he saw prayer. He's like, "I got to be a part of this." So we're praying together. And when that prayer time was over, he and I began to talk, and we just saw the need um, for these families and the crisis and what they go through. And we have another kid who had a heart transplant at UVA Children's. We have a 7-year-old daughter right now who's on hospice. And so we've just seen the need of these families. And we just, having seen it and lived through it, have said, we got to do something. We got to resource these families. We got to find a way to be a part of a solution or to bring hope. And so we had exchanged information, and we said, "Hey, we're going to meet up after both our kids are finally out of the hospital," which we did a few months later. And that's where the dream began. And so we put together a team of people that are passionate about uh, making a difference this way. We started the nonprofit, and we've been just kind of running ever since. And the social workers of the hospital are kind of our inroads, so they'll identify families in need, and families will fill out a hardship application, and it's super efficient. We pay mortgages. We've flown people across the country to come and hang with friends, car bills. We resource families with gas and food and all those kind of things. And all again for the purpose of bringing hope to these families. And so it's been amazing to see how this foundation has grown and how many people have gotten on board in the last 10 or so years, and how generous our donors have been. It's been unbelievable to get to know these families. And so it's been in some ways a big blessing for me because a lot of these families, we've been through some stuff, but their stories just kind of have wrecked and touched me in a cool way. And we have family reunions where we get together, a lot of the families we help, and we see how things go on the other side. So uh, it's been a road, and it's been a journey. And now we've got an international brand that we're building out in Kenya. So we've kind of extended to overseas, and that's super fun to see the doors that the Lord has opened up there. But yeah, so Ryan and I kind of got together, and the Lord just took this in an amazing direction. So it's been a lot of fun.
Wow, that's incredible. That's a lot. That's an amazing story. That you're able to. One, incredibly sorry to hear about your daughter needing the procedure, but it sounds like everything went okay. So that's a good thing now. And it's an amazing thing to hear that just seemingly strangers came together in a time of need and were able to pull together for each other. That's amazing. I'm trying not to cry. It's
You,
yeah, it's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It's when we think back to the times, and Emily and I, my wife, we have spent probably, a total of over 2 years with one of us living at a hospital, some of it in California with Luna, who spent months over there. And actually, while Emily, it was right before COVID, was in California, Luna, who's the child we mentioned on hospice, she was having a heart surgery that was kind of the last ditch attempt to save her life. And but while she was there in California, she was there for 4 months, I think, at the time. Our house caught fire, burnt down back here in Bristow, Virginia. And but we've had so many people that have wrapped their arms around us and that have been there for us in the tough times, that have lifted our spirits, that have resourced us financially. And so, having been on the receiving end of so much love and grace and encouragement and all of that, that's why we did this, because man, we felt the benefit of it. And there are families that are put into these situations, and they don't have that. They don't have somebody that's in their corner advocating for them and fighting for them, because you can face everything when you've got a team of people fighting for you and the Lord in your corner. And so for us, it was a no-brainer. As soon as God opened the door, we're like, we're running through it. So
That's awesome. And that you say that they don't have someone advocating for them, but they do now. They have you, and I think that's a tremendous effort that you guys are putting in there, and it's got to be so rewarding to be able to see on the back end that your guys' contributions and effort and just caring makes a difference to those families every day for the rest of their lives. And it's a momentum builder, right? What you do today allows them to build on that for tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after. So like it just it's an incredible impact that you're putting into the world, the community, and I'm sure they're very very grateful for that. And yeah, that's man, that's a great story. I wish more people were doing stuff like you out in the world. I think the world needs a little bit more of that these days. I'm trying not to cry, man. um, okay, so when it comes to like a use case scenario, so obviously you have your specific circumstances, and I'm very sorry to hear you have someone on hospice. That cannot be easy. And so what your organization does is basically steps in and says, family has a need, there's a hardship because there's a medical issue, so we're going to take care of the problem so that you can focus on being with the patient.
Yeah, so they can just literally worry about being there for their kid. And yeah, any load that we can take off of a family. And sometimes it's simply um, they're freaking out. They're hearing words they've never heard before.
Yeah.
They're in an environment that does not make sense to them, and it's terrifying. How do I even? What questions do I ask the doctors? Do we just take their word for it? And because we've walked down those roads, we're able to kind of speak into their experience and connect with them on a very personal level. And so that's why all of the assistance that we provide, we do it personally. We connect with the families and we share a little bit of our story. And it's amazing. We'll sit down in a conversation with a family and we'll start talking about the CICU, or I was in this room, or we'll name this doctor, and they're like, wow, all of a sudden you can see them kind of exhale a little bit, and they feel a little bit safer and a little bit freer and a little bit lighter, just because there's somebody that's walked down that road that, and we've all been there, right? Going through what name that trial in our life. And when you run into someone that's been down that road, doesn't matter what the trial is, it does something to your spirit to be able to say, okay, I'm not in this alone. And so that, yeah, exactly. That's the joy of it.
Very cool. That's yeah. That's just there's almost no words to capture like just the greatness that you guys are you're doing, and religious component aside, not necessarily always. I'm going to lose my words here. It's not necessarily about religion, although it seems to be a heavy component of it. But you're just trying to help families in like their probably, I mean, hopefully they haven't had another one, their darkest day. And you're just trying to say, hey, look, we've got this. You focus on your patient, your kid. You take care of the family. We'll take care of the other thing, and that's amazing stuff. So I'm glad you guys are doing that work, and I'm glad that we can, in whatever way we can help amplify that message, and people can continue to help you can do the work that you guys are doing, and we'll make sure everything's plugged on the back end of the show so that you guys can get all the support and eyeballs that you guys are much and deserving of, and I'm gonna have to keep tabs on this one because that's such an awesome thing you guys are doing. It's a passion project. I love, nonprofits are great and nothing bad about them, right? But so often it's a one and done,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea that you guys have pinpointed someone's darkest day, again, hopefully that's the worst as it gets for them, right? And then you guys just said, hey, we're gonna take care of this piece. You go do the family thing. We've
Yeah.
got your back, and that's amazing. And I'm gonna find a way to help as much as I can because that's awesome. There's no segue, but all right. So let's hope that you can pull off a win. There's no segue. Let's talk fantasy football now and NFL and some of the levity that can come from this, and that you have a lot of experience in the fantasy football realm. Again, you came as a referral from another team, and said that you even go so far as to call into some local radio shows, if I remember my notes correctly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Dave Richard. Every Thursday morning, Dave Richards. I'm calling the junks, and they've been so gracious. They punch me up first call every time, and so, and there's times where just got caught in dialogue with Dave and with the Junks, and a whole segment almost will go by. And I just know all the other callers are probably sitting there going, "No, let this guy shut up." So yeah, I do. I'm that dork that that will get any little bit of information that I can that'll help me make any decision. And that's what I love, the levity that you said. Like some of what we talked about, right, just a few minutes ago. I think it's the reason why I love fantasy football, because we're making all these decisions, and I'm sitting this guy, I'm starting this guy, I'm frustrated with you, I'm dropping you. We're making all these decisions, right? And in life, so many of the decisions we make are high stakes. We do something wrong at where we work, and we can get fired. We lose our cool with our kid, we can scar them emotionally. Like so much of life is high stakes. It's fun to pour yourself into something that if you make a wrong choice, it's like, oh, well, I lost to a good guy this week, right? So that is for me the joy of it. It's fun to pour yourself into something that if it's a blunder, if you do something boneheaded, the consequences are really not that severe. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I used to tell people. So I served 10 years in the Air Force, and one of my first jobs afterwards. So this could be kind of stressful, and I was like, well, it's the first job I've had in a decade where dying's not realistically possible. So I'm good.
Oh, wow.
So picking players to put up points in a hypothetical game, played on imaginary fields, and there's higher stakes in life, and so it's a good way to disconnect for a little bit and kind of step away and have some fun. So all right, going back to your experience with fantasy football, you are clearly qualified if you're calling into a radio show. It takes one thing to have some let's say courage to profess your fantasy expertise, right? But then that's amongst your friends and your 12-team leagues, and there's all sorts of excuses why you may or may not have won that year. But if you're calling into radio shows, you've got to really have an idea of what you're talking about and be able to carry a conversation. So with that, you have 12 years of fantasy football experience, and the real question, as you've seen from some of the other interviews, and we ask it gently because averages of how many leagues we play every year is not necessarily the nicest way. How many championships do you have in those 12 years?
3 championships in those 12 years. And I've the chunk of time I've spent in the one home league I have is 12-team league. And we're like the dorkiest. We still do the in-person live draft. We have a halftime show. I mean, we go super. The punishment end of things that we do is ridiculous. The hype videos every year, every team's responsible for hype videos in the lead up to the draft. Nice. We have a national anthem procedure that we do. We have cook-off contests. We go nuts for it. That is kind of the kickers are people too. That's kind of big thing. I've won that twice. I missed the first year entering fantasy football was terrible. I'm a New England Patriots fan, and it was in the height of the Tom Brady with New England era. I knew nothing about it, and so I just said, you know what? I'm going to get as many Patriots as I can, which landed me maybe 2 good players at the time, but I finished, I think, second to last that year, didn't make the playoffs. But from that moment on, when just the sting of losing, I was like, that's never happened. That's never happening again. And I just poured myself into it. I've never missed a playoff since in any league that I've played in. So that's, for me, that's kind of I brag about that more than I would even the winning titles. There's still a little bit of luck. And, I've been to the title game 6 different times in that same league, I think. And so, but just not, ever being on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs, always having a chance, just getting yourself there so that you have a puncher's chance, even if your roster ain't that great that year because of injuries or whatever. So yeah,
that is true. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there too. So yeah, you're right. When you get to the playoffs, it's kind of a whole new game in the sense that it really didn't matter what you did the entire season. The first week of the playoffs could just derail you if you were the most successful team, like I often am, and just bomb that year. And it's actually last year was the first year I didn't make the playoffs in any of my leagues, which I don't think has ever happened before. So I'm kind of having one of those existential crisis things of maybe I should just commission the league and not play, so I don't have to worry about losing.
I like how
But
you handled it almost like a confession.
yeah, yeah. So I do have to ask though. So I'm pretty well versed in the camaraderie that is fantasy football. What is the halftime show?
So halfway through the live draft, we stop what we're doing. Everybody gets up. We've all been having fun and smoking cigars, doing whatever we do, right? And then we go out into the yard, and every year it's a different competition, like actual football or physical competition. One year, those giant bubble balls that you can get inside of them. We get all of the headlights because it was dark by that time, because it's probably about 10 o'clock at night at that time, so that we could actually see. And we had two of these bubble balls, and we did like a round robin where we just ran at each other. And if you got knocked down, you're out, and the next guy in, which was unbelievable. One of the guys in our league, like literally hit a guy so hard because he jumped. When he landed side, he blew up his knee. We got photos of him sitting for the second half of the draft, whining and complaining. He's a Bills fan, whining and complaining about his knee that got blown up. So, like last year, we had football accuracy throwing contest. We had a wheelbarrow, a cart that you would kind of roll down the street. And we're tossing footballs, just how far can you throw it? And so we have prizes for all this. So every year, it's a different halftime show in which we just kind of set aside the fantasy, and we we do something real just for a few minutes. And you may not win the draft, you may not win the league, but man, if you win that, you at least walk away with bragging rights of some sort.
Yeah, in the case of the one guy, probably some medical bills, but that's cool. And so then you also mentioned punishment, so I have to ask, as we are still getting in the process of voting out what our punishments will be for season one. What are some of your guys' punishments that you guys have in that league?
So the loser of the league gets what's called the Losers Cup. It's an athletic cup that that gets engraved. Their team name gets engraved on that, and then on the day of the draft, they have to go to the ABC store, and they have to purchase wearing this and recording the whole thing, explaining to everyone that works there. They have to purchase the beverage for the draft for the winner and present that. That's one of the punishments. The loser, the winner of the league every year, gets to rename the team of the loser. Okay. And so, and they present like a shirt, and they do this presentation. And so the only way to change your name back to what you want it to be is to win the league. So you're stuck with that until you win the league. You win the league, you can change. Oh. That's just, and we got another thing we're rolling out this year that we're adding to the punishment, but I can't reveal that because I'm sure our guys in the league, I have our fantasy league has a board, and our board meets this coming Sunday night to just kind of plan all the new wrinkles that we add into the league every year.
I've heard of similar things, but I've not heard of someone using an actual athletic cup. And I thought that was it, right? The engraved athletic cup. I was like, all right, that's a solid punishment. And then you said they have to take it out in public, and I was like, that's great. That's I may have to borrow something similar to that. That's awesome. And for the people not in the South-ish, ABC stores are where you can buy alcohol, booze, and cigarettes. So it's a specific store for those kinds of items. I know from having just been in Chicago, those are actually just like in the checkout aisles at the store. There's no separate store there, but yeah, it's a thing down here in the South. So just a I don't know. The more you know, right? We'll play the little graphic. That's cool. Yeah, we're still weighing out what the punishments are going to be. The voting won't start until all 64 teams are locked in, which we're very, very close now. But the only hard lines I've drawn, I think that your athletic cup idea is great. The only hard lines we've drawn are tattoos and nudity. Okay. And
there'll be a lot of room for people.
Yeah, the tattoos. I was like, that's like I would personally get a tattoo because I love like obviously what we're doing. I would not want to put that on someone else. And then nudity is mainly off the limits only because of YouTube. And not that I don't. Yeah, it's just not a good way to go. There's got to be better options out there than that. So. Other than that, everything's open. I do love the public humiliation ones.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always a big fan of like the big arrow sign that you've got to hold at the street corner kind of thing. So
Oh yeah,
something's something
mixed with
there.
YouTube video footage and social media posts and whatnot. So
Do you record any of your guys' content, or is it just
we were
amongst friends? Okay.
so we've got some great photos and pictures and yeah. So we added a wrinkle too, where last year we had like a Hall of Shame. So if you make the hall, you do some bonehead move, you're honor now like iconic moments, kind of. And so we have a poster we have professionally made that we hang up, and we
Nice.
actually put all of our draft boards from previous years around the garage where I host it, and so people can look at their old picks and make fun of whatever. And so yeah, like when I say we go to the utmost length, we yeah, and nothing is from year to year. Like nothing is sacred. We'll like blow up anything if we think is not working and try again. Which is kind of the genius of the NFL and why they're so far ahead of everybody else is because they're not stuck in the routine of every tradition they have. So
Yep, that is a good point, and I like that you do that stuff already. So you're going to be a great fit in fantasy turf war because that's exactly what we're trying to get at is that that camaraderie and bringing people together and shenanigans and public humiliation in a good way. Yeah, but it's all fun, and I think you totally get the idea of what we're going for. So I'm just really glad to have you on board. So you did mention you're a Patriots fan. Oh man, are you still a Patriots fan even post Brady, or
I
was it a
mean,
Brady thing?
it's been a rough couple of decades. we, when your most painful football moments are losing in a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, like it's rough. I mean, it was a good run. We are bottom dwellers now, man. The second we drafted Mac Jones, I just remember staring at the TV, going like, "No." He somehow was in the Pro Bowl after his rookie year, and I remember he's in the skills competition and he's chucking the rock. He can't hit a stationary target from 10 feet away. And I just remember thinking, this is going to be a while before we climb out of this mess. This is going
yeah,
to be a while. And so it's painful right now, but man, I'm hanging in there. We've got an interim coach, is what I call him right now, because they just hired him so they could fire him and put seats in the stands for a little bit, getting the home hero. But yeah, it's going to be lean times. I'm not looking to walk away with any Patriot players this year in any of my drafts. Oh man.
yeah. It's one thing if your team is like historically in a rut. At least like in the bad days, you can reflect on all those Super Bowl championships you guys have. It's been a while for my Raiders, but we've got some a long time ago. We've got some. None since I've been alive, but we've got some.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were. I think well, we're not doing ourselves any favors either in the postseason. So yeah, we finally drafted some great talent in Khalil Mack years ago, and then we traded it away. So there's that. But
Yeah. Who needs the
yeah,
game record?
yeah, it was like great. We're finally making great choices, and you immediately ruin it. That's awesome. Great job. But I do need to get out there and see that stadium though. So I think I tell a few teams now. I don't know if they've all aired as of yet, but the plans are to do live drafts in Vegas next year, and we're trying to work on some things for that. So hopefully that involves getting into the stadium and checking that out. So that'd be cool. We'll see. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But all right. So we have covered your fantasy football career. So you have 3 championships. So you, sir, definitely have the knowledge and you know kind of what it takes to get there. Which I usually tell people again, it's make it to the playoffs and then throw a dart, and then hopefully it sticks. So yeah, I think you've got what it takes. Calling into the radio shows, I would definitely say you are knowledgeable to a point where teams should be concerned. The Patriots fandom thing post Brady, it's both a blessing and a curse, right? Because it means that you're a true fan, that you stuck with the Patriots, but it's also now you're willingly going into a slower period. So there's some judgment decisions there. We'll see there, but I think that's good. I think you're definitely a team to watch. I would definitely be concerned if I were in your division of the moves you're making every week. And I think yeah, definitely keep your eyes on you, and we'll see how that's going. But we have to switch it into overtime now, and so every interview, we ask the same teams, or we ask teams the same three questions. If we have had to switch them, so that's no longer true, I guess, because now the interviews have started to come out, and so people are more prepared for some of the questions, and it's meant to be a little bit jarring, but really just to get the conversation going. So we have three questions for you. No preparation, no study guides, no math, in case you were worried about that on a Friday morning. And all right, here we go. Question number one: do you believe in aliens?
Oh, my 7-year-old daughter asked me that question 2 days ago. So I've had a little bit of prep explaining it to a younger audience. I am keeping an open mind on this one. So I'm a lean no, but I'm not going to be surprised if I'm wrong on this one.
Okay, all right, fair enough. And if you just said that she asked you the question because she saw it in one of our aired interviews and she's the number one fan of the show, like that'd be great. But I'm
There you go.
sure. All right, number two. What is the most interesting item in your office, and what is the story behind it?
The most interesting item in my office is, man, I need to go look and turn around in my office. Oh yeah, so without a doubt, I have a collector's item, uh, strange brew from the movie, the iconic Canadian movie, Strange Brew. You have to drink beer to be Canadian, eh? Oh, is it? If I didn't have puke breath, I'd kiss you. It's the most quotable movie of all time, one of my favorite movies of all time. And so I have the figurines that I keep in my office. And so that's why my fantasy team name is Strange Brew. If I'm ever missing my family who live back home in Prince Edward Island, I'll just pop that movie in, and like it's the dumbest, funnest movie. I'll cry like I'm watching Bambi's mom
Oh
get
boy.
taken out. Like I just tears watching, and people are looking at me going, "Why in the world are you crying?" I'm like, Strange Brew, man. I miss my family. I miss my country.
Oh.
But yeah, so those figurines, people are walking my office like, "Why do you have like toys in your office?" Like it's a little
They're not.
odd, but
They're
yeah, it's my
not.
Strange Brew
They're
figurines.
not toys. They're collectibles. It's
Thank you.
a, awesome. All right. Yeah, I noticed that was your team name, and I was like, I wonder if that's a movie reference, and sure enough, it is. So I'm glad it is, and yeah, it's cool. But look, we all have our collector's items. Everyone can see my background. I'm a giant nerd and geek both. So like it's you're amongst friends here in the league.
Love
All right, and question number three, which is a new one. What if you were a WWE wrestler? What would be your walkout song?
Oh, that's amazing. I went to a local WWE event with my daughter Dryden, who's a big Rhea Ripley fan.
All right,
And
all right.
yeah, I got some autographs. We hung outside the auditorium, and it was. I'm a big Cody Rhodes guy. He's so fun, man. The energy he brings into the arena, reinventing his name. Oh man, my walkout song would be, no one listening will have a clue about this song because there's a band in Canada, probably one of the most successful bands ever, called Great Big Sea. And it's Canadian folk music, it's high energy, and they've got so many just amazing songs on there. But Donkey Riding, man. Donkey Riding from Great Big Sea. That is a money song, and I'm going to go in there, man, and I'm going to make you my. You see the reference like that, and whatever move I have, man, it'll be connected to that song. Way,
Yeah.
hey, and away we go. Donkey riding, donkey riding. Bring it on, boys.
I'm gonna find a way to stitch that into this video so that it actually plays for you. So, and we'll have to do like a little drop every time your team's mentioned. We'll hit the button and it'll play a little bit of the song for you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's light. It's not like what you would see from most WWE, but man, the crowd will. That song would become iconic. That song would become famous if that ever became a moment where I got to do that.
Very cool. I like it. like the reference to your homage is the right word, right? Um, your heritage. We'll say that. I'm gonna edit that out. That's horrible, but it's a good reference to your heritage, and I think having those different songs and not something that's top 40 stuff. I think that's what
It
makes it
won't
the
be Taylor
best.
Swift. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Although I've got two Swifties in my house, and
Uh,
oh my god, and now they're like Chiefs fans, which just destroys me. Like, what are you doing? Oh my goodness.
So, as a father, what hurts you more? And I say this jokingly, of course, because I don't know you and your family. Um, what would be more like heartbreaking is like, Dad, I went to college, and here's my boyfriend, or Dad, I'm a Chiefs fan.
Oh, Chiefs fan. So the other day we were playing a game in the car, driving home with a bunch of the kids, and it was the alphabet game where the first person starts has the letter A, the second person is B, and we changed the themes like it might be a food, and so once you can't think of a food with the letter, then you're out of the game. And we're doing athletes.
Uh
And I'm a Canadians fan, Montreal Canadiens fan. I'm a Patriots fan. I'm a San Antonio Spurs fan. All my like kind of teams. So there's all kinds, and we get to K, and somebody says Cal, and like I literally stopped the car. We're a mile from home, and I opened the car door. I was like, "Dad, buddy, you're walking home,"
oh.
and I walked the rest of the way. So yeah, without a doubt.
All right, yeah, I'd probably do the same. I'd probably do the same. I don't know if it'd be a Chiefs fan or a Broncos fan or a Seahawks fan. You look, I don't think there's any reason to discriminate. Just anything other than my team, you're probably walking home.
Yeah.
So good answers there. Yeah, we changed up the questions a little bit, and I kind of randomized which ones are we use now. And the walkout song one is always an interesting one because I'm like, please don't say Taylor Swift. Please don't say Taylor Swift again. I was like, it's too much. Yeah, but yeah, it's good. I like it, and I think that's a great way to end it. So, sir, Pastor Jacques, where can people find more about you and some of the work that you're doing at Wholehearted Foundation and follow along and hopefully I meant to ask: is there a public arm to that? Where do you guys do?
And so the Wholehearted Foundation, www.wholeheartedfoundation.org. I'll say again, www.wholeheartedfoundation.org. That's our website. You can go there. There's videos that we've had some people come in and follow my son through the hospital in one of our heart surgeries, and so you get kind of an insider view of what families go through prepping for surgery. And so we had a professional film crew come in and do that. And there's other videos about from Ryan and his family and other families that we've helped, and for families that want to find a way to give and to plug in and connect and contribute. There's information about how to do that on there. You go to our Facebook page, Wholehearted Foundation, our Instagram page as well, and learn a lot about us. And of course, Jacques Rancourt, that's my Instagram, so that's my personal one. So if you want to check me out and give me a follow. Anybody in the league, I'll give you a follow, and we'll get to know each other in a social media way.
Sounds good. It has been an absolute, I will say, blessing to have had a conversation with you today and learn more about your mission that you guys are on over there. It's very inspiring. It warms me up to know that people are out there doing good things. And there's been a few teams now that have been sharing similar stories, and I'm glad that all of you are able to share that experience with me and hopefully get some more attention from the people at home who are also motivated to help and be inspired by what you guys are doing. I think it's a very dark world out there these days, and everything's crazy. And I think that if people would just take 1% of what you guys are doing and try and duplicate that for themselves, the world would be in such a better place. And that seems to be more and more evident these days that that's just what's needed. And I'm really glad that you guys are doing that. And I will be following along for sure. And I will do everything I can to help motivate you there, or not motivate you. You have all the motivation. I will motivate myself and help motivate others to go find you at wholeheartedfoundation.org, and we'll make sure we link everything up in the show notes there as well. But Pastor Jacques, it has been it has been awesome today, and I'm really glad to have been able to speak to you. And I hope others get to hear your message and are able to help and contribute and pass the word along as well. So
It's been my joy, man. Thank you for the conversation. Peace and goodwill to you, man, and to yours.
thank you very much, and we'll see you in the league. And best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
Alrighty, bye.